It's not working. I must be missing something. Well, at least that's over. not working. What am I missing? Here they come. What am I missing? This looks important.
This isn't looking good.
Okay, this is it.
Okay, this is it. Okay, this is it.
Back for more, huh? All right then. Okay, we're done.
Miss Clementine says we gotta look out for each other.
What are you supposed to be with that getup?
Still kicking, I see.
I should stop by sometime.
Now we're talking. Yeah, that'll do nicely. Remember, the choices you make out there can come back to haunt you. Believe me. You looking for trouble? All right. I guess I set myself up for that one. I told you that this mutter walks into my court. I'm thinking, this'll be a fight to remember, eh? At best, to watch. What belonged to... I figure he finally tripped the branches and I'm about to wring this wanderer's neck myself. But then, that caught me. The old man wouldn't give up that watch to no one. I let the wanderer go. After taking the watch, of course. But I couldn't stop thinking about, so I hear. Change. Sometime later, I got the nerve to see the old man. He surprised me. Wasn't pissed or patronizing, just sat me down and started telling stories like he didn't say nothing about the watch when I told him. Just glad it had a home. Anyway, we talked a lot after that, and when word got out that folks here at the ward were starting something new, well, I told the mud dogs they were free to do as they liked. And the old man and I set up shop here. Kind of boring to tell you the truth, but better than a bullet hole, I guess. Don't know what else I can tell you, save the story. The way they tell it, that wanderer walked through crystals to other worlds until one day they slammed the door on the Deadwood altogether and... Yeah, they all sound just like my old man, but who says they have? Deadwood is still here, ain't they? Maybe the bulk of them have just... I ain't complaining, mind you. There's definitely something different about this place. Maybe if I... Oh, that old mutter. People call him Mudtooth. He's set up over yonder, and he's more than happy to tell you about himself. And then some. You wouldn't know it to look at him, but he was the leader of the Mud Dogs before I took him over. They'd gone soft, see? Couldn't hack it in a dog-eat-dog world. Of course, that ain't the way he tells it. We still don't see eye to eye on which of us was right. Disagree to agree, I guess. Well, the Mud Dogs ran for years. We set ourselves up in a place folks started calling Cutthroat. Yeah, I got a story or two from the glory days. But so, there's one of my old man's tales that is true. He used to live in this old chopper. Made a good sniper's nest. I kept him out for a while, but the Mud Dogs got wind they were mustering something big. I weren't about to let the old problem was. They moved faster than we thought. We had explosives set around for most of the area. The old man, though, he wakes in the crack of night, howling and popping off shot at... Well, one of his shots must have hit our explosives because, son, my dogs got lucky. Only a couple were close enough to get singed. But the root got blown all to hell. To this day, my old man thinks he killed 300 of them. So here's the thing. Every shot my old man took, and he must have killed dozens at the only shot he missed. So you tell me, who really killed? Back in the day, whenever a group of folks came traipsing into the Mud Dog's den, I'd give them a choice. I told them we was weeding out the weak. But that particular tradition started the day Chavis and his gang rolled in and said they wanted to join forces. I normally ain't the trusting type. There was only 3 of them, all torn up like they'd tried. The rest of Chavis's gang had been chewed up by Deadwood, he said. I was just about to let him join when Chavis's deputy, a woman with the unlikely name Sonny, well, me and the boys start taking bets. After the other 2 fell, Sonny says Chavis was planning on killing me. Ever since, folks come looking to join up. We had them fight each other first. Yeah, it weeds out the weak, yeah. But also make sure nobody's... Alright, you ever hear of the Root Mother? She's one of them weirdos even the Deadwood left alone. Folks used to see her for advice. Crazy. My Mud Dog's caught one of these crazies. As he begs for his life, he tells us some secret, the dumb bastard. We killed him anyway, of course. He had food. But that's how we found Cutthroat Channel. Once the Deadwood were cleared out, it wasn't so hard to keep it. So the dumb had to take it first, and that's a thing only Mud Dogs could do. Tell you the truth, that... Good. Now we're talking. Yeah, that'll do nicely. Don't do anything I would do. I'll have to come after you for
I
it.
bet Riggs could help me out. I should stop by sometime. Now, Reggie, he takes a lot of the more, obscure parts, you know, the stuff no one wants to cook. I don't know what he does with it. Well, you know, we try to use everything we can. Like, for instance, I give the animal skins to Whispers for his craft. Fruit ain't much good for hunting. If they don't kill everything, they scare it off. Honestly, I do most of my hunting for Dwayne.
You look like you need some shooting practice.
Oh, that man would die without meat in his diet.
2 shots center mass and 1 to the head. Stop most of your problems. Hope you ain't causing trouble. Watch yourself, stranger. Wolf ain't clean yet.
Say rabbits breed like, well, rabbits. But damn tough to find nowadays. Rats? Yeah, they're more hardy. And I've sold meat to Mudtooth for a stew before, but between you and me, I kind of get the feeling it's optional to him.
Traveler returns. They don't like it when I help you, but it is the... Until next time.
You ever get, like a feeling?
What? Hey, get away from my stew! Oh, it's you. What? No, of course not. Never seen you before in my life. I just figure... So, what can old Mudtooth... Lucky for you. Quite a bit, stranger. The name's Mudtooth. And ain't, except maybe old Ford, of course. But that old mudder cheats. Anyway, he hardly... Only 3 reasons why folks come to see me. And that's my stories... You bet your apple I can. But these ain't just stories, stranger. They're objective retellings of legitimate occurrences what you wouldn't believe. Now, you met old Wally yet? The boy ain't right, but not in a mudder way. He just ain't. I reckon I know why, too. I ain't never told him this. Don't believe me? Ha! You wouldn't be. That boy Wally was born under a blood moon. Always strange, they say. Harbinger of... I heard him cry out his first breath. I did, and I says to myself, Caw! Don't tell him I said it. He wouldn't believe it anyway. Or... Don't think it. You want to know the truth about it? To start off with, the boy ain't all that young. I mean, sure, he ain't nothing to old Mudtooth, but ain't a lot of folks around who remember. Why is that? Bo Ward, he made a deal. Don't believe me? It was Bo who met the Wanderer at old Ward 10 and 3. And it was Bo who took him over to that Ward goose egg. The one where... He won't admit it. But it was Bo what rescued Clementine and shut the door on the dead wood. The boy's more than he tells, and a good deal more than he knows. Why else would folks around here... Town, you call it. Back in my day, a place like this wouldn't be considered much more than a camp or a bivouac, you might call it. Nah, this ain't no town. I lived by myself for years, see? Had myself what you calls it, a hockapatopter. That thing could fly to the moon. Anywho, I was living by myself when my boy Brabus showed up saying he told me about this place. Got some nice people here. Took some getting used to. Well, Brabus, he's my son. 'Twere his idea to come join this little shanty. He's over yonder at the shooting range, if you're looking to find him. Not much of a talker, though. That's so? Right. So, let me see here. Listen, you sure I said there were 3 reasons? Huh. Only 2 reasons folks come to see old Mudtooth, and you know both of them. This is 100. You've been introduced to that girl Clementine? Powerful woman she is. She's near as old as Ford is, if you can believe it. Even older than my old bones. How about it? Those 2. You see, she was born on... Clementine spent 100 years on a snow world called Resome. They call it that on account of some you read and some you don't. Anyway, see, Resome's full of giant talking rats. They got warrior rat. Clementine, she learned under the tutelage of a 2-headed mystic named Sebum. Taught her everything. She don't talk about it, of course, on account of Sebum's a wanted man. Rat, I guess. But sure can. So this wanderer comes up to visit me at my heliocopter, right? They're decked out with guns, but I'm thinking they'll get tired, wander off, and take my story somewhere else like all the rest. And I think to myself, this mudder actually... And I think to myself, reminds me of my ma, tell you the truth, the way I'd listen to her, and the way my boy, that wanderer, reminded me of family. And that's the most important thing, ain't it? So I figured I ain't left long for this world. So I give 'em Ain't too long after that, my boy Brabus comes back in person, first time in years, with a watch chain peeking out. I knew a good thing when I saw it. I didn't say nothing. Just, family's the most important thing we got in this world, young'un. Yo. Did I tell you I once sailed across that ocean to that... It was after that wanderer came through here and cleared out the storm. Old Mudtooth's crazy, you know, but I tell you, I saw things down there in that rusted place was just machinery and roots twisting every which way, like the root themselves had built it. No, that old place was called Ward 10 and 7. You can see it plastered all over, and it was built by humans. By the folks Ford himself used to serve, if you can believe that. Oh, he'll deny it, I'm sure. But all them electronicals they got down there are the same damn things you'll find in old Ward 10 and... What were they up to down there? Now, that's the question. I heard some... Oh, you met my boy Brabus yet? Got into a scrap when he was 5, he did. Knocked down a boy had to be, twice his age. Well, that boy's pa didn't take it none. That boy's pa wanted to take some skin out of me for it. Now, I ain't proud of what I did next, but like I taught Brabus, say as I do as I say. And anyways, I couldn't back down from a fight. Not in front of the... Come to think of it, that's probably how Brabus got the way he is. Anyway, I fight the man. He could have crushed my head between market and roast beef, but I aimed to win. I pointed at nothing at all behind him, then smooshed a scoop of mud straight into his... Then, while he was a-spitting and a-sputtering, I hit him hard. So hard that when he fell, my muddy hand came away with 3 of it. And that, friend, is the... You'll lie. So I was on a scrounge with the Crazy 8. We came across this old hospital, see? Folks were holed up in the base, but the root, they'd, Yeah, but the root had found those folks. Now, the Crazy 8, they were all for running. We got 88 problems, they'd say, and dead folk, but not me. I knew those folks needed help. Also, knew they had food and meds. So I fought for them, tooth and nail. When it was over, the Crazy 8 come up to me, and I just looked like mud, they said. There you go, Mudtooth. Let me see, it's about the time my own damn son left, or he went to get some grub for us or whatever, I don't know. Point is, I was alone in the darkened woods with nothing but my rifle. We was on our way from the city to our new home in the ward here, carrying all my earthly possessions and all that, and Brabus, he up and leaves me in the middle of the night. I was attacked. 20, no, 50 deadwood come crashing through the trees. We thought they was all dead and gone. Now, I may be an old mudder, but I ain't no pushover. I blasted them down, left and right, laughing all the time. I don't mind telling you, I thought I was done for. Then, a growling starts. Deadwood, we fought the rest off together, that dog and I thought to myself, now there's... Oh, here's a long time ago when I was just 10 years. Sanctuary was true to its name. It was a place where folks came to be free from the deadwood. Boy, Sanctuary had everything. Folks there had... Sanctuary had this one thing I ain't never... See, they'd hook up this battery, right? Only they'd hook it up to a wheel and a light, and bam! Whole worlds just show up on the wall. talking rabbits and stuttering pigs and this one real surly duck. Maybe it's something like Ford's old crystals. Except you couldn't walk into the movers. Nah, they just played for you, sound and all. Maybe that's where I got my love of stories, huh? Huh. You'll like that. Back when the earth fell, a dragon, a real root dragon, took up residence over there. It started in them wards, see? Your eyes only hush-hush military conspiracizing farms and whatnot. That's where they made all their weapons. And just like those tales, Hey, watch it! And just like those it took a night to slay this dragon. Oh, but the dragon was crafty, all right. He knew the knight needed him. Yep. The dragon took the form of a talking tree and told the knight if they wanted to slay that dragon, they'd have a cyclops, a living statue. Well, the knight slayed them all. But the thing, so when the dragon finally did reveal itself, it was too strong for the knight, and it took him, body and mind, and made theirs. Tell the truth, I'm a bit dry-mouthed on my tales, if you can believe. I warn you, once you... Come round again sometime, here?
So many new faces these days. Welcome, traveler. I'm Reginald Malone. Heard the old founder dragged you down into the ward on some Can't say the same for Ford. Clementine neither. Wish she hadn't gone and... You mean the one they hauled into the center of town there? Well, I hope you don't give up on him. Ford now. I suspect he'll come back when he's good. I have been known to tell a story or two. Or did you mean that I collect the stories? Because I do that too. Oh, now that sounds like the start of a damn... Damn. Well, it's a common enough tale. Everyone here can identify. But I know that don't necessarily mean... How about your friend? So you, owe her a debt? Or maybe you paid it off by getting her here. Ain't no logic keeping tabs of people's lives. We look out for each other. The only thing that makes humanity... Speaking of your friend, I heard she came in with a net... Yeah, I can understand that. Ain't easy talking about, but don't forget about it either. Could be that telling you what happened is the only thing that can say... Well, don't you worry. We've dealt with nastier things here, believe me. What about you? There. So now I've got a measure of you. Oh, yeah? Old as teeth, friend. Old as teeth. Everything we know comes from when the world ended, about 120 years ago, give or take a decade. Ford and some survivors took shelter in old Ward 13 over there. I don't know how many wards there were, but they were all part of something called the Dreamer Project that... There are rumors. Some say he made a deal with the Root, and that's why it's so held. Some say he was experimented on in the Dreamer Project. Some say truth is, nobody knows. Maybe not even Ford himself. Ford and Clementine are the only ones what really know, and they... But old Reggie's got a gift for collecting stories. At the wards, see, they connected people to machines that made them dream. But these worlds were real, and the dreamers were seeing through the eyes. Sounds like a bridge too far, don't it? It did for me, too. The story's pretty long, friend. After the world fell, see, Founder Ford carried the whole burden of what happened on it. Tell the truth, I don't think he ever put that... At first, nothing. He pressed on with the work of helping others survive. If you ask me, that was the best thing he could have done. And it never should have stopped. Maybe he wouldn't have if Evelyn hadn't... see, Evelyn was his wife, and she was something special. She could, at first, she thought she was going insane. But then she started using it. She saw a monster, something the ward, the whole city couldn't handle. And only one way out. Melded her mind to theirs and drove the monster off. But the root swallowed her, body and mind. Her husband lost it then. He left the ward for months, sometimes years at a time, wandering the worlds trying to find something, anything that could stop the root. And one day he just didn't. Well, now my story's not through yet. The Fords, they had a daughter, Nadine. She was maybe 7, too young to run the ward, but when her pa was gone, folks would ask her their questions instead. Nadine had her own daughter, Ellen, who really made us who we are today. Commander Ellen Ford inherited her mother's pragmatism, her grandfather's doggedness, and her grandmother's willingness to make hard choices. So whenever someone showed up, dehydrated, starving, half-met... So you were paying attention. I owe a lot to Ellen Ford, and we all do. She was one of the dreamers, if you can believe it. She says she got sucked out somehow, dragged into her dream world before the root came to Earth. I don't understand it much. I reckon she don't either. But she found herself in a place called Resum, a world covered in snow, and don't know how she survived. But I imagine it has to do with those powers of hers. Sure is. But power like that don't come without a cost. Oh, about 20-odd years ago, we had almost nothing left. Trapped in Ward 13 with nowhere to go, and then this stranger wanders in out of the storm. Makes friends, picks up some gear, and damned if they... I still don't know if that wanderer was crazy or brave or both. But they... once it seemed safe to live outside again, Commander Ford... The Wanderer was on a mission from the start. Said something about getting to the tower on the old atoll out there. Sounded crazy the first time I heard it. But turns out, that tower was one of the old wards. The Wanderer's path wasn't easy, though. Our Wanderer had to track down Founder Ford just to find a way in. Well, Ford had seemed to have gotten himself mixed up in another world's affairs, helping her... Now, no one here knew that, but the Root Mother knew. The Root Mother's got a story all her own, and I don't know half of it. Before she was the Root Mother, bound herself to the Root, she did, and it changed her. Turned her into something. The Root Mother, or whatever she called herself after that, sent our Wanderer down a trail of sorrow, at the end of which was the Wanderer freed him, and used his knowledge to get into the tower. Or what we thought was the last dreamer anyway. It did weaken the Root. So, the dreamer was dead. The storm subsided. Then Founder Ford tells us about the oldest ward, the first one, where he hoped there might be some clue there as to why the Deadwood was still coming. Oh, they found more than... You ain't wrong. The place was full of doors, and one of these doors led to the world of Resum, where the Wanderer found... Clementine opened a door what nobody else could have opened. And inside? I hate to admit it, but all I know is the root stopped coming when the Wanda and Clementine were through. They'd done it. Just making sense of things. Stories make us who... She was a force, that woman. Founder Ford came back once. Did I mention that? Almost 6. Helen couldn't have been more than 18 at the time. But she told him the war didn't need him. Didn't have room for some legend who was just... I reckon Founder Ford saw the wisdom of that. Because a while later, when he finally did, he wasn't needing us no more. He was content to leave the... well, she fell sick some time ago. Most of us have lost folks without it. Why, she even made things right with her grandfather before the end, or so I hear. The two of them together. No one was more surprised about that than Bo. But you know what? Ain't no one loves a ward. Loves these people more than the kid who was raised by him. You might find some of the...
Don't know what this is. Maybe Wallace will know.
Let's talk again, Sue.
You don't need my story, stranger.
Feeling all right?
Ain't much to tell, anyway.
Sure thing. You need anything, I'm here.
We don't talk much about
When are you gonna come over here and help?
Well, that's odd.
Wait! Stop! I know them! They're my friends! Please! What are you doing here?
You saved my ass. I'm here to save yours.
Wow. You didn't have to do that.
Well, you were pulled screaming into a giant crystal, so I kinda did.
Right. I guess I would have done the same. But how did you find me?
To be honest, I'm not sure. But I think it has something to do with this.
They risked their life to find me. You can trust them.
Anomaly.
What are you?
The Keeper.
The Keeper of what?
The realm in which you now reside. All realms. All my mandate to protect.
What was it talking about?
This is the Labyrinth. A place between worlds. Connecting the worlds. The Keeper protects all of them from the root. We got them out of Earth, but the others...
There is little time. System failure is imminent. This segment. Where did you find it?
I killed something, and it kinda fell out.
Interesting. A failsafe.
Is that bad? That sounds bad.
No. It's... good.
The index can be repaired. 3 outcomes emerge, where once there was one.
We could do it. We could end the root.
More segments are required. The anomaly will retrieve them.
Wait, what about her?
The tide must be stemmed. The utility must remain.
The utility? Do you mean Clementine?
Yes. Clementine. Corruption tears at the seams of this realm. Yet the doorways remain. Gateways to other realms. This key grants passage. Find the segments and return them to me.
Hey, Traveler. I hope it didn't cost you too much to find me. I'm so sorry. You shouldn't... So, how's the ward? Is Bo okay? Oh, well, if you see them again, can you tell them I'm okay? More than okay, really. I do. For so long now, I felt lost. I joined the Dreamer program with the promise of making a difference. I thought I'd found it on Reesum, but it didn't last. But these powers, everything that's happened to me, it's all been leading me here. This is where I'm meant to be. No. I mean, there was a time I thought the ward would never be home again. It still isn't. Though, but I'm needed here now. That's all I know. That's all I need to know. No. Not that I've bothered to look. That old man's got his own journey. Same as me. Nothing that'll make sense, probably. The Labyrinth isn't what it looks like. Most of this place is like thought and energy. There's so much more to it than what you're... I only know that because of my bond with the Keeper. I mostly feel the Labyrinth. Like a heart. And like both of those things, it's connected to everything. It is. Like, more complicated than I think my... Try asking the Keeper about it. Their answers might not make much more sense than mine, but at least they know what they're talking... Yeah. And hey, if you see the ward again, tell Bo... Tell everyone.
The Labyrinth is compromised. Resources are... The seat of all worlds. First the core, then the Labyrinth. Then all worlds that are, were, or... The core has been purged of corruption. Yet, corruption... The Labyrinth must hold fast. Must be last to fall. Little that has not been said. Their origin is unclear. Their existence... unexpected. A failsafe in the event of utter collapse. The segments repair the index. New outcomes emerge. The anomaly's involvement has altered probabilities. Altered them further. The Creator. The Creator. Obscured. The Creator is the Creator. The first was extracted from an entity of great power. Logic dictates. The others are dissembled within. Search the worlds. Seek out other powerful entities. Extract the segments within them. Hesitancy irrational. Either the anomaly erases one life, or the root erases. Short-term outcomes are likewise simplistic. For the entities in question, erase lives as well. Erasure is unavoidable. Entropy deliberate. This one seeks to maintain the unknown. The intersection of worlds with surviving entities of sufficient power, and worlds for which corruption has not made them. The intersection is small. Start with one, then search another. The Labyrinth is the connection of all things. It is the seat of the worlds. Built upon the I have provided the maximum help that I can. All endeavors with you are the resource now. Find the I am the Keeper. I was the first to rise. Kidnap. Misnomer. The utility was required. The utility has... Clementine bears the nature of both core and guardians. The utility understands what is needed. I can no longer maintain stability on my own. The utility is a necessary resource. Necessary entity. Clementine was key to stabilizing the system. To preserve. The Labyrinth is compromised.
The sun shines, the pestilence grows. Of course. All roads lead to Dwell. The sun shines. Did its tongue just speak of the lost tribe of Yesha? Dwell must have mistakenly stumbled into a pen nursery. That is the stuff. Present this proof to Dwell for inspection and verification. It is clearly Pan in origin, and yet it is distinct from the creations of my Yesha. Dwell has a theory, but needs to see more to know for certain. This is one piece of a larger whole. It will likely take the Paxel several adventures to find all three parts. If it manages to find them, that aside, there are many questions in need of answer. Let us speak of this in depth once it has gathered all the knowledge that it can. I am thinking 3 pieces should complete the circle. Dwell thought the Paxel now. Begin. Say everything. Do not hold back. That is incredible. Dwell can scarce... but the Paxel stone reveals much. I can tell that the fate of the lost Pan tribe, that is a tragedy upon tragedy. To be lost and separated from your kin and culture, only to die. Did it cross paths with anyone else in the Lost Kingdom? Dwell is pleased. I have not heard of this Lydusa before. However, Dwell is quite firm. As for that Pan explorer, what was he called, I'm wondering? What was his true name? Curious. That sounds like a commoner's name. He must have proven himself most worthy to Genis to have earned. That is, to think that the lost tribe truly existed, along with the living stones. Tell me, Paxeltech, who is to blame for what came to pass with the lost tribe? A fair assessment. Though Dwell has perspective, the plague. It cannot understand how it ravaged and mutilated our kind. What would the Paxeltech not do to stop the ravages of the... Dwell can understand being desperate to attain the kind of power to stop that from ever... Paxeltech. Dwell is grateful. Most grateful that it took the... In any case, on and on life goes, as does... Farewell.
Traveler. They don't like it when I... Goodbye, Traveler.
Good for me.
What can I do for? You know where to find me.
Back for more, huh? Uh-huh, okay. Yay, you're back. What do you need? Bye.
Couldn't stay out of trouble. Looking to buy, huh? Yeah. All right. Never let your guard down. This world loves to chew up the careless.
What can I... Take care, my friend.
Better be worth my time. Let's have a look. Bye.
Oh, traveler. Take care, my friend.
Okay, whole other world. How many of these are there? Find these segments, huh? While Clementine and that talking ball of light hang out and meditate? Yeah, sure, sounds fair.
What is this? Not Drasier. Some sentient thing. We bled ourselves in search of you. Yet here, sought, but did not see. Or perhaps I refuse to see. Years of reflection have laid bare miracles in my mind that I never tell me. My world, precious Nerud, what has become? And yet you commune with me now through the speaker's pulpit. No, do not answer. You and I share this much in common, then. We are cut off from our people, and we share a similar end. No. To speak it is to change it. Already it shifts. On the surface of this world lie several chambers that were shielded, as I was, from the cruelty of Alepsis Torah. These chambers bear the soul sparks of the Drasier, our last remaining legacy. Find them and bring them to me, but not here, not to this contemptible chamber. You must find me in the flesh. My temple can be found within. Bring me the soul sparks, and we will speak further. You have seen what remains of my world. Nothing lives save you and pride. We scrape the heavens for answers. As if it Alepsis Torah consumed us and spat out the remain. Not you, what you represent. Life beyond our own. We could not accept that we were the entire universe, a sea of lifeless, and within that fathomless void? Enough! You must seek the soul sparks. You have not completed your... No, I must...
Just gotta find these soul sparks. Where are they? Come on, come on.